right, welcome back everybody, and happy first Friday in August. We are kicking off a new month here, and we are so excited that you are kicking that off with Flight Path. This is your one-stop shop for all your Tern updates. As you know, we are pushing out updates to make Tern better every single week, and we get the gang together here. We talk about everything that happened. I'm one of your hosts, David, CEO and co-founder, joined by Brad, our head of design, Molly, our head of product, and wow, do we have a show for you today. Now, this is going to be kind of an interesting episode in that if you look at our agenda, it's actually one of the smallest agendas that we've ever written, but each bullet point has so much hype built into it that we're just going to let it speak for itself. We're winging it a little bit here, but as always, we're going to start with the week in review. I'm going to go easy on the reminders this week to like and subscribe and comment because I think I may have overdone it last week. So we're not going to spend as much time on that. So we're going to go right into the check-in. We're going to start with Brad. How was your week?
Been really good, actually. We took a lot of really fun stuff, and it's just always really cool to see people's reaction to those things. Molly and I were scheming a little bit before we announced something we'll talk about later. And I was like, do you think people are going to be so hype, right? She's like, I don't know. It's summer. I don't know if anyone will really pay attention. Well, it was a great week. People seem to be loving what we're adding to the product. And I think we'll talk more about kind of how these things came to be, but just been really fun. Also just there's a lot going on. We're prepping for the users conference. We've got this Bootcamp thing coming up. So across the org, things are a bit wild at the moment, but just so cool to see it all coming to life. And excited for this week, for next. We just got a lot of stuff.
It is so cool. And I plug for the bootcamp. I mean, there's, I think as of today, over 1,700 people that have registered for this 8-course bootcamp. And, Karina and Grace on the team have just been, and Ben have just been doing so much work to get ready for this. But it is just really cool to see the response. So you can kind of find the details for that on the website, or if you're a user, you can find it. You should have seen a little pop-up in the app. But a lot of really cool stuff happening there. So Molly, how was your week?
A very exciting week. The primary reason was a bunch of the features we're going to talk about in a little bit, but the news of the week is I had a party last night, and it was my first party that I've ever had in my house that wasn't for Zach's family because I don't really have friends in Michigan yet. And my Jade, who's on the product team, came. David came. Mal, who's our head of events, came. We played some catchphrase. We had a barbecue. It was just a wonderful time. So I don't know.
High marks. It was a good party.
Being social's an event for me.
So that's it. Just nothing else happened this week. Just the party.
No. I mean, all of the features we're about to talk about, which is what I said first. So.
Okay, sounds good. I got distracted by that. It was a good event. I mean, I think that was good. Catchphrase with Molly and Zach and this group is, we didn't keep score. It was just for fun, but you could tell that there was mental scorekeeping that was happening.
It was very intense. And David, you were okay. You were okay at it. I mean, pretty good.
I'll take that. Wow, that's high praise, honestly. Wow. Okay. Well, this week I'll echo, I think what both of you said. There's just a lot going on, and it is, it's kind of fun. I feel like we, in some ways, we sort of entered summer, we hired a bunch of people. It was a lot of okay, let's get the org in the right place. And now it's just things are shifting back into high gear, and you just feel sort of the momentum growing between the training, boot camp, between the users conference, between the kind of roadmap that we've got over the next couple of months, between what we've shipped. It's been really cool. We've got a lot going on. We're going to be at Virtuoso Travel Week in 2 weeks, or a week and a half, or next week. I don't even know. Soon, whenever that is. So it's good. It's a lot happening. A lot of moving parts, and some really cool stuff coming down the pipeline. But we're going to jump right in because we're going to do 3 demos today, which is going to be really fun. We are going to try and sportscast this for people that are maybe listening on their drive or on audio only, so that you can kind of picture this. But we're going to, for those of you watching on YouTube or the video version of this, maybe on our website, you can watch on Vimeo too. If you don't want the ads on YouTube, you can just go to our blog and actually find each of these uploaded ad-free. It's a little pro tip there. I don't know how many people know that. We're going to go through this, and we're going to kick off with this is a funny one because last week we sort of were oh, like we're working on something that's like really hype. And we had literally just had a conversation around like, should we save it for the users conference? Should we just ship it? And we're like, we're just going to ship it. And so it popped up. And then we've got like 3 updates already that have shipped to it. And Molly is going to talk about your new favorite view, I think is how you teed it up with the product announcement, right?
Yeah, I got some help on that title. That was not a me organic title, I have to admit. So I'm going to demo it, and we're going to do the
Have we even said that it is a calendar? Like, are we just kind of burying the lead here?
You guys, this is what happens when we don't have an actual agenda. I'm just going to put that on the record. We're winging it.
Okay, to be fair, the one thing on the agenda is Molly, calendar view.
Okay.
So...
Fair enough. Buried the lead there. We launched the calendar. Before I demo it, we can tee it up. And this has been kind of a top area of feedback that we've gotten for ages. And it's really about making sure that you can see all the key information you need across your trips, across your clients at a glance without having to click into each of these things individually. So could not be more excited to show it and really came together pretty beautifully. So we did do a brief beta period where we got some feedback. So this has even evolved a lot since we got it into everybody's hands just a few days ago. But you can see kind of upcoming trips. You can see upcoming tasks that are due that have not gotten completed, birthdays. You can see passport expiration dates. You can see anniversaries. So all of this is kind of available at a glance, and you can click through to each month coming up basically on your calendar. And then since we actually launched it, we made a number of improvements, a few tweaks to like what shows up here. So someone flagged that we are showing automations that had actually been deleted. So we made a fix there very quickly. But the big update that we made based on your feedback was adding this filter panel. So now if you're like, you know what, I'm just in like task completion mode and I have a bunch of client birthdays that I don't want to see, you can just go in, you can uncheck that. You can uncheck, anniversaries, whatever you want to focus in on the content type that you want. And even hotter off the press, I think literally as of a few minutes ago, we also got feedback that many of you don't want to see kind of trips that are more in the quoting process. And because you can have your own versions of those trip statuses, right? There's not like a Tern-wide status for trips that are quoting versus booked. We just did a simple little filter here. So if you have inbound or quoting or whatever that trip status is that you don't want to see, you can just uncheck that.
And Molly, are we automatically hiding archived and canceled?
Yes, we should be.
Nice. So you don't have to manually filter those out. It's just if there's other quoting types of statuses there.
Exactly. Yes.
Really
and
cool.
If you notice that not working, let me know. I saw one report of that and we should have addressed it, but yeah, just let us know if you see anything funky. This is a beta feature. I think all advisors who log in will see like a nice little beta label there. So we're very much in like keeping our ears close to the ground for things to not only improve, but fix if you notice any issues. So
this is so cool. I mean, it's just like so exciting to see this sort of like calendar view. It's like so clean, even just like the little kind of details, right? You hover over a task, like making it clickable, being able to filter, like this came together so well. You can click right into things. Is it worth talking a little bit about how this kind of came together and sort of like the evolution here? I think it is kind of a unique feature from that perspective, in that a lot of the complexity, like calendars are one of those things that everybody, I think, sort of is like, calendars are obvious. Like everyone's seen a calendar, like they've been around for a long time, but they're actually like not trivial to build, right? And I don't know, this is a little bit of a pivot, but Brad, do you want to talk about some of like your anxiety in a calendar feature set from a design perspective and sort of how we got here?
Well, yeah, like, and maybe my anxiety is like, I saw the word calendar and I've heard advisors say the word calendar. I'm like, I don't have the brain power to think about this right now. And that's largely how I've approached this for like almost a year and a half since I've been here, is like, someday we'll think about a calendar, but sounds hard. Like you got to think about like combining all of these different pieces of data from all across the product, figure out what all that should look like. How do you like put that on the screen in a way that's laid out that makes sense? and Molly didn't show this in the demo, but like also how do you make that work on mobile too? Just like there's a lot of content you need to present. It's very information dense and it all kind of has to work. And we just like we didn't like prioritize really like the mental energy to think through it all. It just felt like for the amount of, it didn't seem like a core blocker from my perspective, at least for a lot of features. It's like, you can do all these things, you can find this information. Like, is it worth it to like spend weeks thinking about how a calendar should work? And kind of, we didn't really have to with this project. If, I don't know, is that where we want to go, David? You want to talk about kind of like what we did here? Anything to add there, Molly, before we talk about kind of like how this actually came together?
Yeah, no, I would just kind of plus that it felt like one of those, you know, we talk about, I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast, but like these big like rocks of like a giant new surface area. And so some of those things can be like almost like punted down the line because it just, yeah, as Brad said, it like feels like a big chunk of work that we have to commit to, but did not end up being in the case in this case, which is fun.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, this is what's like really exciting is like we all sort of felt this way. We're like, yes, there's literally 326 votes in Canny for people that want this. We know it's important. We'll get to it. But like with all the things that we're balancing,
yeah,
it's just like, well, it just seems like a slog and it's going to take forever. But it actually turned out to be a pretty cool test case for a new way of developing things at Tern. So, Brad, you want to pick that up?
Yeah. So maybe just, I don't know how to talk about this. We like internally, of course, are like really excited about AI. And when I say we, I mostly mean like David, and then eventually begrudgingly the rest of us. And then like, you know, I think we've come around to basically everyone being like, we should be using AI more to more quickly deliver value for advisors and agencies. Like I think everyone across Tern now is at a place where like that is true. They believe that. We're still at a place where like, how do you do that for product design engineering? Like, what does this look like? There's all these tools that people are throwing out there. Like, we don't need to get into all the details here, but these like agents that can like write code for you. And we don't really know like how great is that code? Is it like going to do great in Tern's code base? And so we've kind of just been playing around. One weekend, I think I just like kind of stood one of these up and started asking it like, could you build a calendar for us? What might that look like? And I didn't have to think through all the hard stuff. Instead of me like writing everything, or really like Molly writing down all of the requirements, here's all the things we need to look at. Basically, we could use this AI tool. It like kind of looked at our code base as it exists today. It's like, here's some stuff that has dates associated with it. This is like a UI that it could make sense in. Like, let me put together an example here and show you like how this could work. Kind of like skip all of that like kind of early thinking, and then we can react to that prototype and say, oh, actually, yeah, let's refine this a bit. How does this actually make sense for our specific customers and use case? Like, AI hasn't been in all the conversations that we have with people where we understand what matters most. How would we order these things? Like, how would you actually want to style this to make it feel like Tern? But it was just a really cool opportunity for us to kind of flip the script and not start with like a list of requirements and designs. We actually start with like a working prototype that we then could kind of like build on it and tweak and refine. And that's, you've even seen that a little bit after we've shipped it in the beta. Like, we've got these little refinements where we like didn't really bother up front to say like, what's every little thing somebody would want? Instead, we're saying, let's get it out there as fast as we can. And then we can adjust, you know, based on feedback and keep iterating.
Yeah, it was such a cool, like, and it's so different to like get a working prototype in your hands and play around with it than like theoretically talking through a product requirements doc that then needs to be translated into a design file that then engineering needs to break it apart into different, like, we use linear cards, and like it really does just like flip the whole process on its head. I think we also, just to give, you know, podcast listeners, I think like getting a peek behind the curtain, like we've also found that like it doesn't work well for like other types of things. Like, so I think we're just like learning. Yeah, it's like so fascinating. We're really learning like the exact types of projects this is really good for. A lot of these like almost like standalone greenfield projects are like super good for this because it's not like dealing with a lot of our existing gnarly code. It's kind of like building a net new surface area, especially things that are going to take a while to work through the requirements and designs, like a calendar, which is just like the perfect example.
It's so interesting. It's like I think we said this on podcast before, like such a fun time to be building and learning and iterating, and we talk a lot about sort of AI. I do a lot of these talks from different places around like how AI is going to impact travel. Like it's also fascinating just to see like how is it impacting the way that you build technology and build software, and like it has been really neat just to see the team kind of go through the evolution, right? I think like Brad Mully sort of described, which is like now really leaning in and being like, we're going to define what the bleeding edge of this looks like and how to really like where AI works, where it unlocks a ton of value really quickly, where it doesn't. And ultimately what that means for all of you that are listening is we will be able to do more with the team that we have, move faster, show up and add more value. And we're really excited about that. That's why we get up every day and do what we do. So with that in mind, we'll maybe transition from the calendar view. And again, if you were watching or kind of listening, the calendar view is live for everybody. It's in beta, which just means like if you notice anything that seems weird, just like let us know. But like it is available to everybody. You can find it up in the top right of your toolbar or your screen. You can just click on the little calendar icon and you will see the details there. The filter option that we were sort of describing being relatively new is just on the right-hand side where you find filters on most pages in Tern. So hopefully you love that. Excited to hear what you think. And I think it's just the beginning of accessing sort of this overview of information in Tern. But we're going to move back on. Last week, we also promised a end-to-end forms demo, bringing to life all the different things that we've sort of been shipping over the past couple of weeks. And so handing it back over to Brad to take us through that.
Amazing. So yeah, I think we talked about this last week. We're like, this actually makes more sense when we can like talk about it as a demo. So without a bunch of preamble, I'm going to share this so that we can, for folks who are watching, they can see this as we talk through it. But the basics here are we've made some improvements to forms to make it easier to collect information about travelers that makes sense. AKA, you can require a email for just a primary traveler, not require it for additional travelers, and everything just flows correctly. You can still like update details about travelers using forms. So I'm gonna like talk through this more in a real world scenario. Right now I'm looking at just a regular, like a trip request form here. We always have had, or as of recently, had this concept of being able to decide which fields are required or not. Now on this trip request form, you can decide whether email is just required for the primary traveler versus the additional travelers. And in this example, we'll just make the email required for the primary traveler. We'll say like, we're assuming they're the person who's like, you're mostly going to be really contacting about the trip and coordinating everything. And then I have another form, I won't show it here, but it's a follow-up form to like actually collect full traveler details, say before the trip. You want to make sure you get additional things like birthday. So I'll just like talk through how this actually works now. On the trip request form, they can fill out the details of the trip. And you can see since I only have the email required for the first traveler, the email shows required there. If I add an additional traveler, the email shows as optional. So we'll do this. I won't put in, I just typed in a name and did put in an email. And we're just going to create a trip. We'll just like name it something, flight path, and we'll say we have flexible dates, we agree to terms and conditions, and that's submitted. Now on your side, also lots of demo data in my account, but what you'll be able to see, of course, when you see the trip, you'll have all the form responses that you have today. And then you'll also see under travelers, the travelers that are just filled out. And I can see here, I just have basic details from the trip request form. It's just name, email for the primary traveler, just name for the additional travelers. Now, later in the flow, you're like, go ahead, Molly.
And just like different, like this is like a pretty typical flow, right? You want to get them like in the door quickly with an initial trip request form. You don't want to ask them for like 500 contact details, everything you need to book the trip right up front. But previously it was like hard to do that the way things were structured. So keep rolling.
Yes, thank you. Super helpful. And then so imagine later, fast forward, you're like, oh, I actually need more additional details from them to actually book this trip. You can send them a follow-up form now where you could just say, okay, fill out this. You could have additional questions like birth date or passport information, all that kind of stuff. And you'll be able to fill those things out. Go ahead, David.
And Brad, we've talked about this before, but maybe just like really driving this point home before we do this part of the demo, which is like, it used to be because the second traveler did not have an email, we had no way to look up that traveler. So there was no way to ever update that. So the information you collected at the beginning was all you could collect via a form. The only way to update that contact record was for you to go in and manually type in all the data. And that is like been really tough. It's a lot of overhead. It really breaks down for families. Like we sort of talked about like all the challenges that exist there. And so now, kind of back over to Brad, it's like we're filling out a form for the second time. What we're showing here is that is no longer the case, that even without an email, you can update this. And so back over to you, Brad.
Yeah, great. That's perfect voiceover. I'm just going to submit this new form with birthdays filled out for both travelers, no email for the second one, and we're going to watch the magic happen. Toggle back over here to the trip. I'm just going to refresh, and you can see now that we have the birthday filled out for both travelers. Again, we didn't create like new travelers or anything. Jack here still doesn't have an email address, but we're still able to update that birthday, no problems. And so lots of like technical details behind the scenes, but the short story is, should now be easier to, again, not have to collect emails for people who you don't really need their email, or they don't even have one, and still have everything sync up correctly. Magic.
So cool. And again, sort of like, if you want to go play with that, you're also in the audio version. You can just go to your forms, go to your contact form, the same place that you've been able to select those required fields for what you want out of that traveler section. It will just now have an extra checkbox that you can decide between email for the primary travel and additional travelers. And the rest of it just happens. It's just done. You don't actually have to do anything. Tern's going to look at the context of how this form has been filled out and will automatically update when it makes sense. We'll create a new traveler when it makes sense. So huge leap forward in the way that contact forms have worked, and really just makes so much more sense. So very excited about that.
Need to spend some more time talking to Grace about how to market that. Like I don't know that my jargon is the best way to explain, other than just it's magic, it works, I promise.
It works. Like it is kind of like one of those interesting flows where it's like when you start to get in there and people start to use it, before it was just like painful, but now it sort of just works. Right? It's one of those things that is, I think, hard to market because you're like, oh, like you don't think about it, which is good. Like those features are really important to the day-to-day usage of Tern, but it shows also some of the challenges that we have in terms of these like big flashy announcements. It's like, this just works the way that you expect. And it was like really hard to get there.
I remember when Brad, I was on an email thread with Brad and he was like framing up what we were about to build, and he like recorded a video to like show it to an agency owner, and she was literally like, what can I do to get this sooner? I will give you M&M cookies. Like it's one of those that like if you use Tern, it's like it's like so palpable how much people wanted it. But you're right. It's like you kind of have to record like an end-to-end flow just to like show that it's that powerful. So, you did a great job, Brad.
Yeah. So, and also, Brian, you can send the cookies to. No, I'm just kidding.
278. No.
Yeah, exactly. Now we'll give out emails on the show. We probably don't need to give out addresses, but we'll DM next. Amazing. Okay, we've got one more just epic demo for you all, and Molly's going to round that out, I think.
Yes, it's the new mobile app, and I think like it's interesting. It's like almost like a full redesign. So I know we had expected it to come out earlier in the week, but we've again just really wanted to do a lot of thorough testing, and so we found more things like we do these what we call QA builds to actually like test like every single scenario we possibly could think about on both iOS and Android, and like we're basically touching like everything single part of the mobile app. And so there's just a lot of surface area. So our week has actually been a lot of testing on the mobile app, but it's finally there. And so we should be submitting the version either later today or tomorrow morning. And so it should be available once it gets approved. And we're recording this actually on a Thursday. So by the time you're watching this, it will like hopefully be live in the App Store, but we'll have to see. I totally.
Well, I did the whole it's August 1st, and now you told people that's not actually August 1st when we're recording this. You just ruined the illusion.
I actually meant to call you out immediately, and then I just like totally forgot. So it was inevitable that I was going to call you out. We don't do illusions here on this podcast. It's about the spirit of this podcast.
Also, I feel like we're really downplaying this. Like, yeah, like it's like kind of like a redesign. Like it is a fundamental redesign, and it is so cool. So I'll bring the hype. Also, this is fun.
I know, it's the only way that I can think to demo the mobile app. So we're just going to bear with me. Again, no agenda. I blame you, David, for all of this. Okay. Can you see my phone okay?
Sure can.
Oh, amazing. Okay. So I think we've talked about this in past weeks, but this is already out where you can now more easily come in and see just upcoming trips. You can toggle over to past trips. So that's beautiful.
Oh. But can we just sit on that for a second? Like that is amazing. So that was such a big. We like celebrated that when it came out, but I still see it and it still just like warms my heart.
I know, and you can see all of the testing I'm doing too. So there's now when you actually click in, the main update we've made. A much more beautiful landing page for your trips. Beautiful big photo highlighting your advisor brand, your logo. If you click in, this nice little bottom sheet for your branding information. And okay, here's where it gets even better. So first, a big area of feedback that we heard about the mobile app was that it was really hard to access documents. Like often it would get lost in a big list of information. So now right up here at the top, if there's any documents visible to travelers, they can just click right in, access their boarding pass or what have you, right from the top of the trip. When you scroll down, it's also accessible here at any time in this menu. So those trip documents are always accessible, which is really cool.
And Molly, the menu, just to be clear, is that three, because we can't actually see your taps. So it's the top right. Is that the top right little three dots there?
Three little dots, exactly. Yep. Where again, it's like, that's pretty much what most people will expect when they're using kind of a modern app. So your traveler it should be very intuitive for your travelers. The next big area of feedback we had on the mobile app was it's actually quite difficult to navigate between days, and also if it's a long trip and you're a traveler and you're traveling, having to like scan to the right day every single time can just be a lot. And I wish I actually had been smart enough. Is this going to be one? There we go. So look at that. So it scrolls right automatically to the right day when you open the trip. So again, if you're on like a 30-day trip and it's day 15, it will scroll right there based on the current date, which is really slick. And then in general, we have this just beautiful date picker experience. So you can just jump to the right day that you want. You can open as you scroll down. There's this calendar.
And to get that, you just like tap on the calendar in the top right. The date picker is just like tipping on the trip dates there. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. So as you scroll down, it will actually automatically select the right day. But you can also just like slide this like little date picker at the top to the right and the left to jump to the right day. You can open up, there's a little calendar icon in the top right that you can just open up to see all of the days and jump to the day that you want. So it's just kind of like slick native date picker functionality that you'd be used to in a like modern, beautiful app. And then the other just big thing to call out is it just looks a lot nicer, more polished, and there's these beautiful photos that, again, like you as advisors are working so hard to highlight photos. So now we're showcasing them in the itinerary itself if you have added them. So just like scanning through, like flights have gotten a lot of polish. All of the different activity types have gotten a lot of polish. So it just looks a lot more professional, a lot more polished, a lot nicer for your clients. And kind of closer to like what you'd expect for the level of like professionalism that you want to showcase to your clients.
And Molly, if you had to describe the design aesthetic here and you could only pick one word, what word would you use?
He's trying to set me up because the inside joke is we'd call it juicy, but that's not my word. I'm stealing it from Ursula, who's our wonderful designer who designed all of it.
Juicy. I'm so excited for this, right? Because like the mobile app has been it's been functional, right? But like I feel like we're going from functional to like truly like this feels polished. This feels something that like I think takes turn from okay to actually the best mobile experience in the industry. And like we're still going, right? We still have more that we're going to be doing and adding to it, but like it is just so excited to get your client feedback on this and to get people in there. The little animations, like the level of detail and thought that have gone into this, like even things like you may not even notice as you look at it, but like flight transit duration times actually like really hard to calculate that across time zones and with all the different stops and all these different things. Like so, yeah. Hope that you love it. Can't wait to get you to try it. Any other mobile thoughts before we move on?
I know you said this, but we just have more coming soon. So we're going to be polishing up when you actually click into individual activities, what that looks like. We're going to be supporting all of those core flows that you want your clients to do on mobile, like make room selections and option selections and credit card authorization, and make that all feel like nice within the app itself. So yeah, there's a lot more exciting stuff in store, but this is a really big step forward.
So cool. All right. I think we've got through the very robust agenda that we've had. Any other thoughts, though, before we move on to week ahead? Things that we didn't cover or that were not covered in the extensive agenda?
Well, we didn't do quality of life at all, even though we shipped quality of life improvements this week.
Yeah,
massive oversight.
Come back to the next week. We'll do a double quality of life next week.
Well,
Double.
Can I say I actually have my product update up, so I can just share a couple that I think are good. So automation templates, folders. I have folders now, which is really exciting. So we actually just have 2 types left that do not have folders: itinerary templates and workflows, and those are coming. So just like I think while we're seeing less like we need this tomorrow demand for those 3 types, it's just nice to have the consistency and the polish of having all of those things work the exact same way. And if you have an organization system, they can all work the exact same way.
How far have we come that folders is a quality of life improvement? Like a month ago, we were like, folders is the feature. We're like, oh, we also do folders.
We also do folders. Yep. We also, the engineers did a lot of really hard work behind the scenes to speed up the performance of the shared with me trips tab, which is just so huge. If you're an agency owner and you have hundreds of shared trips, previously, if you went to see all of your agents' trips, it took a while to load, and that just contributes to the product not feeling as polished as it should. So, huge kudos to the team for doing that. That's like easy to like overlook, but it's just so important to the usability of the product. And then we can stop there. There are some other small things here and there, but I know we've covered a lot today. So
stay tuned. Subscribe for next week's episode. We'll get a double quality of life, and you can get all the updates. Or I feel like we don't talk about this enough. Check out Molly's product updates, which you can find both posted in the Facebook group and also under the updates tab of our website. Mm-hmm. And so what day do you post? Thursday, Wednesday?
Usually Wednesday afternoons, but if I'm waiting for a special feature that I really want to include, I'll do it Thursday. So
there's your like, is something like really good coming? Is something extra juicy coming? If it's like not on Wednesday, you know it's going to be good. So, all right, we'll do a rapid fire week ahead. It's been such a hectic week. I'm like, what are we doing next week? And so I'm excited to not go first. Molly, what are you up to next week?
Oh my gosh. I was literally like, I hope that David does not pick me to go first. Yes. So we're actually in progress. We have some really exciting stuff for how form responses work in Tern. I know people are going to miss having to click like 6 different times to like find the form response that you need for your contact or your trip. But spoiler alert, that's not going to be true for much longer. So I'm deep in like both planning mode for that, but also we should have some of that, some of the first pieces of that launching next week, which will be really exciting. And on mobile, we're getting actually pretty close on the next iteration of the app to show that next level of polish for the like actual like activity pages itself. So I'll be doing more mobile testing as well.
Love all that. I think you did take maybe my joke from the forums from last week though, but that's okay. Over to you, Brad.
Yeah, I don't think we've mentioned this at all, but also the editor on trips is for real coming next week. We did pause. Do you want to cover it? You want me to?
Well, I think there's just one piece that's probably worth highlighting, which I know we've said it's coming for a while, and like apologize for that. Really, like I know we've said this multiple times, but it's gone through a beta period. We've got a lot of feedback during that beta period. Thank you again to our beta testers. Some of that feedback was actually impacting the mobile app experience. So we actually needed to fix it. It wasn't like major issues, but it was like formatting for sub bullets and stuff like that. And so we actually needed to submit a new version of the app to address that. So the actual like delay on launching it is actually more due to like some of the mobile app and making sure just like we're again just like thoroughly testing, addressing all the beta feedback. So it really is coming next week. Like I'll give $500 to everyone who emails me if I'm wrong, but no, it really is coming next week. I won't put a day on it, but it will probably be Monday. But the bet is not that it comes out on Monday. It just has to come out next week sometime. So
just going to text Brian here. We're going to need a toggle freeze.
And then, yeah, we also with the editor, though, we are improving the color picker for the editor, which I'm really excited about. That's been a good piece of feedback from folks. Just wanting some more flexibility there and make sure that it's easier to like pick a color other than some of the presets. Also updating the presets to make them more distinct between highlight colors versus actual text colors. And then my squad is like working on some revamps to credit card authorization and managing payments. This is another one that's like kind of tricky to talk about without demoing it. It's going to be a few weeks before these things actually go live, and we'll probably do a beta period. But basically, we're just like trying to simplify a lot of the complexity that exists today, where we know things change in the world, prices change, stuff happens, and we just want to make sure that it's like easier to handle those things in turn. You don't like look like you're losing authorizations or anything like that. So more to come there, but that'll be a big focus next week.
Yeah, when something changes, we don't just like clear everything out. Maybe like so that'll be. I think. Watching the mocks. I think we talked about this before, but it's like watching the mocks of that. I'm like, yep, that is going to actually like fundamentally change how people perceive Tern's credit card authorization on the back end, right? I think the client experience has always been really good, but some of the feedback that we've gotten historically has been like, well, can you make this? This is not how people frame it, right? But we interpret it as like, can you make it like less compliant to make it easier? And we're like, well, maybe we can make it easier while still maintaining this very high bar of like helping people be compliant. And I think we've threaded the needle there really well. So stay tuned, subscribe, and you'll be the first to know. My week, it's going to be a sprint to Friday, which is when Virtual Travel Week kicks off. We're flying to Las Vegas. We're doing the Tech Summit on Saturday. We're kind of giving a brief presentation and facilitating some discussions around kind of the future of vertically integrated platforms like Tern and artificial intelligence and how that will enable what we think will be the future of travel. We've talked about this on the podcast before, where it's like the human element combined with the efficiencies that technology can bring, we think is going to be the best thing for the travel industry. We're excited to be playing a role in making and building that future. So we're talking about that. We've got a bunch of meetings and things. So the kind of following week is going to be a marathon, and looking forward to it. It should be good. Should be exhausting. Vegas in August, perfect weather, and we'll report back. I think we're coming to you from. No, I guess we have one more week before that. So anyway, should be good. Lots of user conference planning, session preparation. There's a million things going on. The bootcamp will have kicked off. So it's we're moving fast here, and we appreciate you tuning in and joining us on the journey. That wraps up this week's episode of Flight Path. We will see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.